Is your brain you? Are they the same? Are they different? In today's episode, I'm sharing a super interesting conversation I had with Dominika Staniewicz, an internationally acclaimed brain coach and leadership neuroscience expert. Dominika equips leaders and organizations with science backed tools. Me too, love that, to thrive. With nearly 2 decades of global experience across 6 continents, she merges cutting edge brain science with real world business strategies to enhance performance, emotional intelligence, and decision making. A best selling author and award winning advisor, Dominika has shaped national workforce policies, guided C suite execs, and advised the president of Poland. That's amazing. And now you get access to her brain too. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Do More, Stress Less podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Hasselberger, a time management and productivity coach. In every episode, I give you actionable, practical tips to help you learn to use your time in a way that feels good to you every day. No more hustling, scrambling, or struggling to keep your head above water. So let's dive in, and soon enough, you'll be doing more and stressing less. Welcome, Dominika. It's so nice to have you on the show.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening, whoever is listening now.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, I always love to just get started by learning a little bit more about what you're balancing. Can you give us a snapshot of what does your life look like professionally, personally? What are all the things you've got on the table? Because I know everyone I interview and everyone listening has a lot going on.
Whew. Okay, well, let's start as a private. I am a mom of twin daughters that are grown women, but guess what? With grown women comes different challenges. So that's one.
Okay.
Then we have kind of guiding them in the adult world, because learning skills of an adult is very different than skills of a teenager. And at 25, you're still discovering who you are, what you want, where you're going. And that's a whole different ballgame of support. Then we have my business that has ups and downs, and 90% of the time I fail, and 10% is what you see on social media. That's very important to remember.
Thank you for your honesty. Yeah.
I do post my failures once in a while to make people feel better that this is not all rainbows and unicorns.
Yep.
And then trying out different things, creating new ideas, and kind of seeing what resonates with my clients, and not only my clients, but with people that I am looking to support. Then there is my family in Poland, and my other daughter, who is now on a contract in Poland and learning her profession that she's dreaming of. So her being there alone, although she speaks Polish and having family there, we are very close to each other. And then learning, and now it's also getting my book out in Spanish. And English, it was #1 Kindle release. Now it's coming out in Spanish. So working on that, coming up with a promotion of my TEDx talk, and at the same time taking care of myself, being perimenopausal, menopausal. Yay! No. That is definitely not yay. So implementing more healthier habits and working more on my strength and conditioning, exercising, variation. That weight just decided to stay with me. It's not going anywhere, no matter what I've tried so far. But that's okay. We're going to get it. Finally getting my HRT in the right place so my brain doesn't go ballistic and I don't cry when I see a happy squirrel. It sounds weird, but that's what happened. That's how I realized that it's time, it's now, and we're not doing this.
Yep.
Ooh, and then, doing the basic adult things like, maybe going out once in a while and trying to meet people and build relationships, which is a challenge on its own because people are in different places in life and every person is kind of like a box of candy and you don't know what you're going to get, if it's sour or sweet.
Yep.
So all of those things, plus studying, plus looking to get my PhD and finding the right course, right school for me, because I have very specific needs. So that would be the basics, I guess.
The basics. Yeah, exactly. Right. You're I'm sure there's more, right? And yet what you're juggling already is a lot. And I feel a lot of connection to so many things that you said. My kids are in high school. They're not yet adults, but I can see that time coming, right? And it's, it's just different from the baby stages. It's not like there's ever less work. It's just different work. right? With
Absolutely, and
kids, right?
it takes different load from different areas. One is physical when they're
Totally.
smaller,
Yep.
and this one is more guiding and how to be a guide, not really a typical parent that they
Hmm.
can explore, but at the same time explore towards the right direction. So
Yep.
it's definitely a different world, and
Yeah.
they don't come with a manual. Did you know that?
No, and why is the second one so different than the first one? And then if you got more, than the third one is so different than the other two, right?
Exactly.
It's kind of like I feel like that in some ways was liberating to me. It's like once I had my second kid, I realized, oh, none of I'm doing the same things as the first. And so none of the successes with my first are my successes, but also none of the failures are my failures. Like, whether you get a kid to sleep or whatever, it's like that's just their personality. Like it's not like it just felt made me feel so liberated knowing that like, oh, you know, I have less effect than I think. Like I can do my best job to love them and provide a supportive environment for them and to help guide them, but ultimately they're their own people,
Absolutely, and you
right?
have no influence on what the brain picks up, but
Right.
you do have influence on what the brain is surrounded with, and that
Mhm.
is our job to provide the best type of experiences, not only the positive ones, but also the ones that are challenging and hurtful,
Mhm.
and be that kind of safety net, but allow them to fall in a safe environment
Right.
because that is what teaches resilience and allows them to be then human adults that kind of manage well all that life comes with. And it doesn't come with the participation trophies, unfortunately.
No, no, I think you're so right. I mean, I always feel really grateful when my kids make a giant mistake while they live in my house because then I have they're learning a really important lesson that they hopefully can avoid in the future when they're on their own. And two, then I'm there to provide both support and guidance away from whatever that thing is that they did that was bad, whatever it was. And there have been a lot of like really big mistakes, but I'm always so grateful when they happen here.
Absolutely. And, those mistakes are nothing when they do it when they're 12 or 13. If they
Right.
would make the same mistake as a 30-year-old, the consequences might be very different.
Right, right. And even like a mistake that you make as a 12-year-old versus a mistake you make as a 17-year-old, like those are also still very different, right? It's like,
Absolutely.
something that could really affect you if you did it in high school. You're learning in middle school. It's okay, right? It's not the best. It's a good learning experience, but you're like, okay, well, it's not like affecting my final transcripts for, applying to college or whatever it is, right?
That's very true. And, even if we do something as young people that is so
Hmm.
stupid that it
Yeah.
would affect our transcripts, there's
Yeah.
always community college. There's always a
Yeah.
way out. And it teaches finding, like, I'm dyslexic. And
Hmm.
because I'm dyslexic and my writing was horrible, like
Yeah.
horrible. I mean, you couldn't recognize the words I would put there because those letters just looked the same to me and they weren't. Um, but I've learned to learn in different ways and adapt and use different skills to achieve what I achieved. And then in the meantime, work on my dyslexia. So it actually lowered and it's not as severe anymore. Sometimes I do weird things, but they're funny now. Um, and we have AI to check your spelling and grammarly, and life is amazing because of this.
Right. I have actually really heard that about AI for folks with dyslexia. Like I have some other colleagues that I work with, and they have said like it is just a game changer to be able to
Yeah.
like say, "Here's the email I want to write. Just can you just write it for me?" Right?
Oh,
Like,
culturally, it's a game changer.
yeah, yeah,
Being Polish and straightforward and saying what I think, and then
right,
American culture of fluff and things that my brain just doesn't like. Maybe I forget to say hi, hello
yeah,
sometimes. I
yeah,
just go straight to the point. So now, when I know it's politically important that I
yeah,
send an email in a certain way, I take my 3 sentences
yeah,
and I literally put it in Chat GPT and I give a command saying, make this polite, firm, but also corporately appropriate. And I press enter and spits
yeah.
out this like a whole pair. I'm like, I would never write this ever in my life. Copy paste. Thank you. Goodbye. Just take away the dashes so it doesn't look that
Yes,
GPT thingy.
totally. Well, maybe I'm Polish then because I also am like a very direct communicator. I mean, in fact, I think that the or I was going to say the advice. No, the feedback that I've gotten the most when I worked for other people in the work world, right, was that I was, quote, too direct, which to me,
Mhm.
I'm like, is there such a thing? Is there such a thing as being too
There
direct?
isn't.
But I don't think there is, but you're right. There's so much communication that I have to do with my clients too around like, okay, I know you and we both know that the fastest route is from point A to point B, but
Yeah.
actually it's not, because actually we have to go in this big circle, and that's going to be faster because you're going to run into fewer roadblocks because you're going to piss off fewer people when you're communicating about this stuff. Yeah, I think AI is great for that. I also, even before AI, I had this thing that I was doing called nicifying my emails, where like I'd write the email that I wanted to write, and then I have all these like shortcuts built into a tool called Text Expander that I use. So I would like then go back and type like HF, and it'd be like Happy Friday, and then at the end I would type like QS, and it would be like thank you so much, and like please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need any support or like whatever, right? And I mean I still do that because you're right, like what comes out of my mouth is not, or out of my fingers, I guess, is not necessarily the thing that is going to get me what I want and like move things
Yes.
forward in the way that I want, right?
And the truth is they cannot read your face. They cannot read your
No,
expression. They cannot read your tone of voice.
right,
So in an email, it's kind of stripped of all those other cues where people know that you don't mean any harm. You're not being
right,
aggressive. It's like, I don't want to do this with a smile sounds very different than you just have, I don't want to
right.
do this in an email period.
Yes,
Very different communication.
totally, 100%. And I feel like I love the fact that emojis are no longer considered unprofessional, because emojis are so helpful for written communication for exactly that. I think it's like, isn't it like Morabian's law of communication that like what we understand from a communication is like 7% from the words?
Oh,
Like,
oh, well, don't go there, don't go. So I am the myth buster. So
oh,
I
okay,
fight this myth, the
okay.
7.
Tell me then. Tell
Sure.
me.
It's called the Moravian myth. The
Yeah. Oh,
gentleman did
perfect.
a
Okay.
PhD in Santa Barbara University, and the
Yeah.
study was a very small study
Small.
of mothers and children, and
Oh,
that rule
interesting.
applies only if you have emotional connection with the
Oh,
person. But of course, as humans, they saw
yeah.
numbers and they applied it to everything. So now imagine you've asked me a
Yeah.
question, and I'm gonna go, ah, ah,
Right.
ah, 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 ah. So by now, you should have understood 93% of what I said. That's not the case, is it?
No,
Yeah,
it's not.
no clue. So the Moravian
Yeah.
whole principle applies only to familiar mother, daughter, mother,
Ah.
son. So, mom, can I have a cat? Yes, which means no, right?
Right,
'Cause
right, right.
the word doesn't matter in that case. So in emotional connection and questions, it is applicable, but it's not applicable as it's been taught all over the world. They just ran with it. But that is the funny thing. We pick up on easy things. Like I
Yeah.
came to the US and I was like, okay, so when I have allergies, I have to take calcium.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Why are you taking calcium?" I'm like, "Well, my mother told me to take calcium. My grandma told me to take calcium, and doctors prescribe calcium." I go, "That doesn't work." I'm like, "Yes, it does. We all take it in Eastern Europe." But me being me, I went to PubMed, and literally in there it says, "In Eastern Europe, people take calcium for allergies, yet there's no biological or proof in any of the studies that it works. Most likely is the placebo effect."
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's repeated even by doctors,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because it just got so ingrained, and the same thing with the Moravian myth. I
Okay.
love seeing that myth.
Oh, thank you so much. I am always really excited to learn. Well, just like anytime I like learn something that I don't know it, and I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop talking about the Moravian myth then, or at least I'm gonna talk about it as a myth. Do you know? So I think probably what we can agree on and what it does show is like we do m- gain more from a communication when we can see body language, facial features, and tone.
Absolutely.
Do you know like? I mean, I know that we love percentages, but do you have any idea of like how much that stuff matters? Like if those percentages are incorrect,
So
is there any data?
There
That
probably is, but I never
yeah,
went into it. But what I can tell you is that when we're in person, our
yeah.
brain uses all the senses that you don't realize that we're using. One of them is, for example, your mirror neurons,
Mhm.
which pick up and brainwave synchronization. That's another thing. And we pick up on smells that you don't realize you're smelling. And we get communication coming to you with so many different levels. That's why we're able to understand and feel, per se, people
Mhm.
better in person. This doesn't
Right,
work when we do it over the internet. We don't have the
right.
feeling, we don't have the perception. We can understand that somebody's sad, but we will not feel most of the time that they're sad. So
Mm,
in-person communication gives you so much more unconscious, subconscious information that allows your brain to process the information quicker and more accurately.
okay, I love it. Yeah, I mean, makes total sense, right? And yeah, I love get it. I love oh, I'm now just thinking like, oh, this is gonna be like the Mythbuster title of this of this podcast.
You know, I'm a
Um,
brain coach, so I specialize in everything that brain does, and that's
okay.
important to me because I realized that we fell again into this trap of psychology, and
Yeah,
psychology is created by your brain.
yeah,
But most of us don't study the brain. We all
yeah,
study psychology, so the result of what the brain does. But if we concentrate on the brain, then we can change the result.
yeah. Amazing. Okay, what are some of your other favorite myths to bust?
Ooh, so for example, I'm gonna stand on the basically men are not mean or cruel or the A word.
Okay.
And so, what happens is when, for example, you come to the point in a relationship where it happens for the first time and you have sex for the first time.
Okay.
And then men disappear and women think and then they use a lot of adjectives to describe them, which
Okay.
I'm not going to use.
Okay.
They have something called vasopressin. And when it drops and oxytocin doesn't show up,
Mm-hmm.
they have zero connection.
Mm.
We, on the other hand, the moment we end up in that place, build oxytocin, which is the love hormone, connection hormone to people. That's where you get from hugging.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say, oh, it doesn't matter when you end up intimate, it does. It turns out that in science, those 3 months actually build oxytocin
Ah.
while they're building up vasopressin. So when the vasopressin drops after the act,
Mm-hmm.
oxytocin has the time to flourish.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
So
Fascinating.
it's not them being mean, it is their
Yeah.
biology. They're designed
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay. So I'm now thinking of a study that I'm hesitant to bring up because I'm like, oh my God, are you going to myth bust this one too? I love this
Oh,
study, but maybe we'll find out. So there's another study that I like to reference. So now I'm like, oh God, how big of a study is it? Is it really a myth? But it's around cortisol and men and women and clutter. Have you heard this study?
keep
Um,
going. There are
so
plenty like that.
yeah, so basically it took people who are well, just people, right? And it had them walk through a cluttered room and walk through a, minimalist room. And what it found was that like everybody's cortisol spiked when
Mhm,
they walked through the room, but men's spiked less than women's. Women's
mhm,
spiked more.
mhm.
Do you know this study? And the reason I'm saying this is another one like, oh, I feel much better about my own relationship because it's not that he doesn't like care about the clutter. It's that he doesn't actually feel it or see it in the same way.
So it's not only they don't notice that, it's not the
Yeah,
level of importance, but
right.
what happens is I just did a talk and I hopefully it's gonna be up, on TEDx website
Yeah,
soon about female brains, why they're
yeah.
built for leadership. And one of the things that happens with clutter, your brain is designed to organize things. So
Mhm,
female brain, because it's more active and has more blood flow,
mhm.
it processes things on different levels and quicker in certain aspects. I'm not saying it's better, but it's
Sure.
just different. So
Mhm,
what it does, it tries to organize things and it looks impossible to organize.
mm, mhm,
So the process of thinking is like your brain in the background starts going, okay, this needs to go here, this needs to be cleaned up. And the whole process is being built up in the back of your head, which spikes cortisol because brain goes, that's a lot of work. And your brain is super lazy. All of the brains
mhm,
are lazy. So it goes, that's a lot of work. I don't want to do this, but I have to do
mhm,
this. And there's this need. For men, when they're focused on one thing,
Mm-hmm.
It is really focused on one thing, and his mind, yes, he'll notice, "Oh, this is a mess," but this is not an immediate. They're very linear in planning out their day. Female brain is very multitasking, which is not really good for us because we lose productivity when we multitask.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this is because of our brain structures, how we're designed.
Yep.
So, yes, that is absolutely true, just for different reasons. It's not because they're men, it's because of processing and different connections in the brain, and also cultural kind of, way we're raised and
Mm-hmm.
believed
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
be. It becomes kind of embedded into the brain. And so they have very narrow focus on things that they're doing, thinking about
Mm-hmm.
planning and processing.
Mm-hmm.
Women, on the other hand, are natural multitaskers, which we need to unlearn because it's not good for us.
Right. That's my biggest myth buster when people tell me, like, always I'm like, okay, how many of us have put like I'm a great multitasker on our resume, right? And then it's like, no, we're not. Like, I think this study showed that like 2.5% of people are like capable of actually multitasking, like doing two things at once, and the rest of us are just context switching really, really fast, and that is reducing our
And
productivity.
actually, it takes 29 minutes on average to get back to the same
23. Yep.
concentration level when you break it.
Yep. I
So
know
it's
that
really
work.
not worth it.
No, totally. I think that's like one thing that I think people are always shocked to find is that, that Gloria Mark study that I think we're both referring to, where not only are we interrupted 11 minutes, although I'm sure it's worse now because that study was like 10 or 15 years ago, right? That, yeah, it takes like 23 minutes to get back to what you were doing, or maybe 29 minutes to get back to the full concentration, and how much time we actually lose all day long. And it's no wonder then that when we live in a world of distraction, people find themselves not able to get done the things that they intended to get done in the day, and doing it in kind of the wee hours because nobody's around to distract them. Right.
And, distraction can be various. It can be somebody knocking on the door,
Totally.
phone, ringing, text coming in, but we also deplete our brain power by scrolling.
Yeah.
And we use up dopamine. People say it's a happy hormone. It's not, it's a pursuit hormone. It is that,
Mm-hmm.
not even motivation, but pursuit for the reward. And
Mm-hmm.
what happens is when we get quick rewards, we deplete that dopamine. So then later on, we procrastinate because it has to
Yeah.
build up back again. And we're like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing this. So if we really would like to be productive,
Mm-hmm.
put your phone away. Put your
Yeah.
phone in a different room, not away,
Mm-hmm.
away in a different room. I got bad at one point in the past, so bad that I had to have phone jail. That would
Yeah.
lock, and it wouldn't allow me, because when I turned off the apps, I would pick up the phone and check. I'm like, why am I checking? It's nothing
Right.
important. Then turn off all the notification on your
Yep.
laptop. That
Yep.
is absolutely has to be out.
Yep.
And also measure how long is your concentration for your
Yes.
brain.
Yes.
Because everybody is different. Some people
Yep.
have 7 minutes, some people have 20 minutes. Nobody has more than 39 minutes on average.
Yeah.
Most people are around 7 to 9 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something important, if you
Yeah.
can block that time without
Mm-hmm.
the interruptions, you'll get so many more things done. And there are ways
Yeah.
to kind of re-engage your brain, get the, get the concentration going again and
Yeah.
creativity after you've worked a little bit. But there's a whole process of organizing your life and
Yeah.
your work, especially.
Yeah.
That instead of 12 hours, you'll be working like 6 or 7.
I know. I know. Okay, I love this. Thank you for sharing that, because I think this is something that, I talk about a lot with people as well. And it's always good to hear it from some, like, I'm saying it, but maybe I don't have all of the science. I just know it to be true. And so it's always helpful to hear it from somebody who has really studied all the brain science and like lives and breathes that, because there's, yes, we can know things to be true anecdotally, and then there's like the actual science of it. And one thing that I'm saying all the time, a lot of people love the Pomodoro technique, right? And I think like the Pomodoro technique can be fantastic. But one thing I always say to people is make sure to match it to your own attention span. There is
Yeah.
nothing magical about 20 minutes. Like, it's just a number that worked for the guy who developed that thing, right? And there's nothing like, if you can concentrate for 40 minutes, there's no reason to stop yourself at 20. And if I had a client, and he was like 7 minutes was for him about his constant amount of time that he could focus, right? And so it was great. So fine, we're not gonna, maybe we can extend it a little bit, but we're just trying to, I'm always trying to help people lean into what actually works for them and then just double down on that instead of trying to be like, well, this technique says I have to do 20 minutes and I'm failing because I'm not doing 20 minutes. Like, no, it's just your brain works differently. And we got to
So
live with that. Yeah.
to that point,
Yeah.
5 a.m. club killed
Oh my God.
so much creativity and
Yes.
so much productivity in so many
Thank
people.
you. Yes.
5
Thank you.
a.m. club is only good if you're a morning person.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you for saying this because I am an inveterate night person. And I am also always telling people, like, there is nothing magical about 5. If you are good at 5 a.m., like if you can wake up and you feel
Go for
great
it.
at 5 a.m., fantastic. Okay, we started this at what for me was 9 a.m., right? Do you know what time I got out of bed?
8:45.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, because for me, I've just like designed my life so that I know that I'm like, even if I sleep the same number of hours, I am better when I wake up later, right?
Absolutely.
It's just like the way that my brain works. And so I have my morning routine is snooze my alarm like 4 times and then get up, brush my teeth, put on my clothes, and get to my desk for the thing that I am starting with. And that
Okay, girl.
works for me. Okay,
From brain science,
tell me.
you're starting to deplete your dopamine every time you hit the snooze button. So one of the ways to get around that
Yeah,
is when the alarm rings,
yeah,
I want you to have a glass of water next to your bed
I do.
and down it the moment you hear the alarm.
Okay,
I will guarantee you that
okay.
you will not be able to fall asleep.
To fall back asleep. What if it feels though, I feel like snoozing is like so delicious. It's like a gift that I give myself
So
every
it's
morning.
actually training your brain for procrastination.
Interesting. Even if I'm not like, I feel like procrastination is like not a big problem for me, or it's like an
It,
issue that I have
so you
for
don't put anything off your I'll do it later because I don't feel like it? Or maybe not.
very rarely. And I think that not because I don't have those inclinations, but because, I have ADHD and I have built a business and a lifetime off of getting things done and helping other people to get things done. And so I actually don't do like I really believe in separating the planning from the doing so
Mhm.
that I am not in that position of like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do it later. I don't feel like it, etc. Like I actually,
So you trained yourself in that.
yeah, I trained
But
myself.
you're
Yeah.
still depleting the
Yeah.
dopamine. You're still
Okay.
depleting decision making and prolonging things. And that might show up, for you might not work. For
Yeah.
99.9% of people in this world,
Yeah.
snoozing is the worst thing you can do because when it's a go time, it's go time.
Yeah.
So if you know you're snoozing, don't put a snooze, do additional 15 minutes later, the wake up call, right? So you don't teach yourself that in some situations it's okay to slack. And it's not about being rigid.
Yeah.
It's about training your brain for situations where you go into your sympathetic nervous system,
Hmm.
which is the fight or flight. And if you've trained yourself in times when it's good,
Yeah.
that habit will kick in and it will help you kind of move forward through the difficult times.
Hmm.
Because one of the things that we train everybody in is mental rehearsal.
Yep.
And
Yep.
mental rehearsal is key in any high achieving person. And the high achieving, whatever means that means for
Yeah.
you, right?
Sure.
So, for example, Thunderbirds, right? The best pilots in the world
Hmm.
and F-16 pilots.
Yeah.
80% of their training is on the ground, imagining they're flying,
Right.
include movements, changes, move head, going back, going
Right.
forward, closed eyes,
Yep.
practicing that over and over.
Yep.
When they are up, they don't have to think.
Yeah.
And the snooze doesn't support that part of your brain. So when something happens,
Yeah.
you might use that neural pathway, which is not going to serve you. But if it's well trained that when it's time to go, it's time to go. I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it. I don't feel like it. I'm going to do it. What you're
Yeah.
doing, you're building your gray matter.
Okay.
And your
Yeah.
gray matter is responsible for grit, for
Hmm.
difficult situations where life gets hard.
Yeah.
So highly recommend either moving the wake up, so you don't push the snooze button, and that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine too, or literally when it rings, drink glass of water and get up. And then you can do something nice for yourself. I, for example, go outside.
Yeah.
Today I was bundled up because it was freaking cold.
Yeah.
in a nice warm blanket, and I had my coffee, and I was looking at the sky for 20 minutes.
That sounds lovely. It's interesting. I'm willing to experiment with anything. So I'm willing to give the waking up with a glass of water and see if that makes a difference. I'm willing to give that a try. And I got to tell you, I'm also feeling a lot of resistance in this conversation I because I really like snoozing. I think of it as this little get like my husband is the same. He's like, "Can you please stop snoozing? Just like set your alarm later. Wake up when you really need to wake up." And there is something about it that I just feel like, oh, it's this I love that like 10 minutes or whatever when it's like, okay, I don't actually have to get up yet. Like I can go like I love that. So
Okay. Okay, I get that. So why don't it's maybe not snoozing, but for example, opening your eyes and I don't know, reading
yeah.
something that you like or listening to your favorite music, being in bed, not getting up.
Yeah, I think it's more of that. It's actually the being in bed, not getting up.
Okay.
It's
So
not necessarily that I'm going back to sleep. It's just that I like to be like, okay, like for instance, my alarm typically goes off at like 8:15. And
mhm.
then I'll snooze it to like 25. And then because I'm like, okay, I get 10 more minutes. And then like depending on the day, what it is, I might be like, oh, today's a day where I could snooze it like 10 more minutes. And like each one of those little 10 minutes, I feel like is this delicious gift that I'm giving myself. And I have trained myself, like I'm never late. Like I am chronically on time because I like that's incredibly important to me. And because I have ADHD and time blindness, I'm typically early for things because I am so terrified of being late. But I hear what you're saying, and I'm willing to give it a try. And I will
Cool.
I will report back to you if
Okay.
it.
Experiment. Trying out
Yeah,
new things and even ADHD brain has neural
yeah,
pathways that are built
totally.
into, kind of permanent behaviors.
Yeah,
And we want to optimize all of those as much as we can,
yeah,
not really for daily life,
yeah,
but for the difficult moments in life where we
yeah,
can pick in those habits that were built previously.
yeah. You know what is interesting is that I do a lot like in those little snooze moments, that is actually when I do a lot of mental rehearsal. So like oftentimes I'll hit the snooze, but then I'm laying there and I'm like kind of mentally running through my day and like, if I'm doing a workshop or a talk, I'm like running through that. And so like I don't know, I'm combining your techniques in weird ways.
Right. Whatever works. But for the other audience
Yeah.
who are not so well trained as you are, if
Yeah.
they're using the button, it's
Yeah.
not the best thing
It's
to
not
do.
great for them. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, got it. I mean, I think this is another one where I'm like, yeah, I think we've all heard that snoozing is bad. And yet I'm like very reluctant to give it up. Okay. But that brings me to another question. So for you, like what makes a good productive day? Like what makes a like when you can say at the end of the day, like, this is a good day. Like, what does
Hmm.
that mean? What does that mean to you?
For me, it
Yeah.
means that I finished everything within 5 hours.
I love that.
That's one. For
Yeah.
me, it means where I overcame my I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
That is very actually important.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy closing things. I do
Mhm.
enjoy the process and finding solutions, but I do enjoy closing things, not thinking about it again,
Yeah.
that I see the value in it. The funny thing is, yes, when my work, my clients, it's the client who needs to see the value.
Right.
But very often I had to learn to see the value in what they see the value. And I'm like, that's not valuable. There should be more. Like I would have my own expectation
Right.
what they would see. So it
Yes.
took
Yeah.
me a long time to unlearn that their
Mhm.
value is my value. They saw value, we're good, right?
Right.
It
Yeah.
was what they needed. And because I had the expectations, that there's
Mhm.
so much more they could have taken away. How come they didn't, right?
Yes.
So that
Yes.
was a learning curve, and also feeling that I have the ability to enjoy things. So when
Yes.
I
Yeah.
have if I'm like, I wanna go and buy myself, I don't know, a peach or whatever
Yeah.
that might be, or I wanna go
Yeah.
and have this amazing coffee 40 minutes away from my house.
Yeah.
That when I have everything in my head closed,
Yeah.
that is probably the most beautiful moment in going for walks. They
Mhm.
make me feel kind of reestablish the productivity and feeling useful. I like to
Yeah.
feel useful.
Yeah.
That is part of happiness. And by the way, if you've never read it, this lady talks about science of happiness. She's absolutely phenomenal. It's Dr. Cassie Holmes, and
Okay.
she studies science of happiness. And one of the most beautiful takeaways I have from her talk and from the book was that people think that if you're on vacation, you're going to go on vacation, you're never going to
Yeah.
work again, you're just going to be happy. And
No.
studies have shown that that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. That isn't the study that it's like the optimal free time or like in a day is
It's
something like
2 hours.
2 to 5 hours. Yeah.
2 hours, and you
Yeah.
need to productive. So it cannot be repetitive action that you don't connect to productivity.
Yep.
Now, it's important that you don't connect because somebody might think
Yeah.
it's not productive, but if you connect it to productivity,
Yeah.
then you're good. So being useful, feeling productive is more important than actually achieving, which those
Mhm.
two things don't have to come together. And it's a lot of fun because it's connected to the studies from Stanford University
Yeah.
that teaches us to connect your success with the process, not the outcome.
Mm. Yes. Yeah.
And
I
that's a
think this
whole
is
different ballgame. You have to really learn that. Most people are waiting for the thing. When I was preparing for a TEDx, I had to reimagine and enjoy the process of finding new studies, reading new studies,
Mhm.
recreating the talk, tweaking the talk.
Mhm.
The outcome, truly what I've learned, it really is out of my hands. I
Yeah.
did the best I could, and how people receive that is how they receive that. So
Yeah.
if I would connect the outcome with my happiness, first
Mhm.
of all, it would be short lasting because outcome is very short
Right.
and process is very long. So
Yeah.
you're able to re-engage in positive
Mhm.
attitude and good feelings and the right mental state much longer if you're concentrating on the
Yeah.
process than the outcome.
Well, this makes a lot of sense. And it really kind of underscores or highlights something that I think about all the time or talk about all the time, which is that, like, I really think as a kind of, I don't know, humanity, we overvalue the end goal and we
Mhm.
undervalue the day to day experience. Right.
Absolutely.
And like, I find that, so like, when people talk about success or productivity or whatever, like my definitions of those are like very different than I think a lot of people because I'm like, no, I'm not holding out for this big goal out there. My, like, what to me makes a good day is like, I used my brain in a way that felt good. I interacted with people who make me feel good. And at the end of the day, I feel like I enjoyed my time. Like,
Yeah.
those are the things. Like, if I can make a life of those things every single day, then it kind of doesn't matter what comes like at the end or at these certain points because I've kind of optimized is the wrong word, but I've like, you know, organized my life in such a way that like the day feels good and life is just a bunch of days.
So this is very well connected, and it's so important to understand. There is a really, really I'm not the biggest fan of Mel Robbins,
Yeah.
uh, but she had a phenomenal episode about self-sabotage, and
Mm,
it was a social perspective, and it was such a big aha moment to me because
yeah.
we have a feeling that those loud voices are the
Yeah.
majority.
Yeah.
When they did the similar questions about what's your goal, what is happiness to you,
Mhm.
how would you like to live your life, what's important to you,
Yeah.
outside of social media and did one-on-one, it turned out that about 90% of people did not have the same goals. And they felt alone because nobody was able to speak up and say, this is not what I believe in. It turned
Oh.
out that the most of the society has very different view of what's good and what they want compared to the very loud voices that are on social media and on TV.
Mm. Yeah.
And it is so important, and I know it's difficult for a lot of people to
Mhm.
speak your mind.
Yeah.
It is so
Yeah.
important to say, "I disagree with this. I appreciate that this is what you believe in, but for me, happiness is this. For me, success is this." When I work with my clients, it is so important to understand what is success for you.
Yeah.
And guess what? Most of my business owner clients, they're not dreaming of a company that makes 10, 15 billion a year. They're like,
No.
I'll be happy with 1 to 2 million a year.
Yeah.
That's my success because that will give me excitement, that will give me money, and that will give me
Yeah.
ability to do what I want to do without overworking myself.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
but you should want more. Maybe you want to be an
No.
offer. Maybe I don't. It's like I
Right.
have my dreams and my definition of success. And it turns out that when we speak up, people feel when we're practicing at
Yeah.
TEDx the day before,
Yeah.
we all messed up. Like
Yeah.
seriously messed up. We forgot what we were saying. And I was like, this is weird, but I'm so happy that everyone else is messing up. It's not on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Speaking what you believe in that you disagree with, of course, in a respectful way, acknowledging that somebody has the right to see things differently
Hmm.
allows other people to hear. And even if they don't speak up, they go, I'm not alone. That's me too.
Right. Right. I think this is really important, right? Because we can get so trapped into thinking that no, there's just this is the way to success. And I love what you said about, business owner clients that you work with because in Silicon Valley, where, I live in San Francisco, there is people say like, oh, lifestyle business. That person has a lifestyle business. And they use this term lifestyle business. It's like a derogatory term. And I have never understood that because I'm like, no, a lifestyle business is fantastic. It's like a business that supports the lifestyle that you want to have. And I'm the same. Like, I don't need to have, like, people are like, oh, you should, I've had times in the past where I had like a really long wait list for coaching or whatever. And people are like, you should scale, you should hire other coaches, you should just train them in like the thing. And I'm like, ugh, no, like that sounds like so much work that I don't want. Like, I don't want to run a complex business. I
Yeah.
want to run a simple business that works for my life.
And that is so important to be aware of this and have the strength to say that out loud. And it takes a lot of people a lot of time to say, I actually don't want a Lamborghini. Like, I could
Yeah.
buy myself a great car, but
Yeah.
I love my Kias, okay? I love Kia
Yeah.
Sportage, and I am not switching to anything else. No matter how much maybe one day when I'm walking on money, if
Right.
I am ever, I'll
Yeah.
go, "Okay, fine, I'll have a BMW," right? But
Right.
that is not my dream. Mercedes is not my dream, and sometimes I'm questioning, I'm like, "Is everything okay?" Like, everybody is dreaming. I love my Kias, okay? I do.
Yeah.
Kia
Yes.
Sportage is my car.
Yeah, the courage to say what you really believe and that it does like that's great because now if people know what you like, nobody's going to, give you a gift of a car that you don't want, right? Like I mean not that a lot of people are giving us cars, but you know what I mean.
Oh,
Um
but maybe they'll start. Maybe they'll
maybe
start
they'll start. Maybe
now.
we're manifesting it right
Yeah.
now.
But the truth with gifts is also I love gift lists when people prepare for their
Yeah.
birthday and they
Yes.
just send out things that they want. That's one.
Yep.
When I get things that so many people know, I don't drink alcohol by choice. Not that I'm an
Yeah.
alcoholic. I just
Yeah.
don't drink because I know what it does to your brain and I'm a brain coach. So kind
Yeah.
of integrity
Yep.
thing. And they bring me wine. I'm like, you know me for so many years. Why would you
Right.
bring alcohol? So what I do, and that's my little trick to make my life easier, I put little stickers on the bottom who I got it from, and I have this box of regifting.
Uh
And the sticker is so I don't give
give
that
it to
gift
the
to
same
the person
person.
who gave it to me.
Smart, smart. I love a good system. That sounds like a perfect system. Okay, I can't believe this conversation has gone so fast. I have said like this has been really fun. I do have a couple last questions for you.
Right.
One of them is just, what are the things like we all have struggles when it comes to this stuff? And like what are yours when you think about, it sounds like you have a lot of great non-negotiables and things that like work really well for you, going for walks, getting outside, getting right up in the morning. What are the things that are like maybe like a lesson that you have to keep learning over and over again?
I think as a business owner, and I go through this, and this is my fourth or fifth business that I'm building. It's that I am not very patient. And
Mhm.
business takes time. Building your
Yes.
brand takes time. And people watch you for years before they call you.
Mhm.
And me wanting to give up
Yeah.
isn't on average once a month for 2, 3 days. It's a
Yeah.
thing. And I think partially is because of perimenopause, but partially because being a business owner is tiring if you don't have anybody else who's bringing in the income and it's
Hmm.
all on you. And I can understand people who are struggling with that because you really need to believe in what you're doing. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you don't see the results immediately and
Yeah.
you don't get that feedback and you post the 10% of your success so everybody
Hmm.
thinks you're doing phenomenally well and you're sitting in a corner and crying
Yeah.
with a bucket of ice cream under a blanket.
Yep.
Um I think that that's my biggest struggle.
Yeah.
I do like teams. I used to have teams. I have a team, but
Yeah.
my team is dispersed right now.
Yeah.
I feed off energy and I give out energy, and it
Yeah.
works better for me. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the moment where I will decide it's time to have an office, not a team all over the world. There's
Mhm.
5 of us working together, but
Mhm.
at different time zones, and it's different. It's like
Yeah.
the mirror neurons working together, you know?
Right.
Human connection. I do like that, and it is important
Mhm.
to me. So that's my biggest struggle, and I think
Yeah.
another struggle that I have is that I am annoyed by, AI.
Mm.
My annoyance is that people started using AI to any type of a communication, and I
Mhm.
read newsletters that are not written by people. I don't care. I can put the same question in ChatGPT, get the
Right.
same answer. Um, the the messages that come through messengers and emails, they're AI written, obviously. There's no doubt that there's a specific language. And I feel like it's pointless. Like I'm fighting against the world saying, yes,
Yeah.
AI is a great tool, but we need you as a human.
Yeah, I think that's so valid. I mean, it's like I love AI. I use it every day,
Yeah.
and I never use it to write my blog posts because like
Yeah.
one, I enjoy doing that and that comes from my brain. Will I use it to come up with titles for the blog post?
Of
Sure,
course.
right? But like to write the thing, yeah, that to me that feels I don't know. It feels like
I
if
write all my material
yeah, I
from
write
scratch.
it like I write all my emails, I write all my, maybe I'll use it to like finagle something, but like
Yeah.
all of the stuff, and it's not a like moral judgment on anyone who doesn't. It's
Yeah.
just what you're saying supports like the dead internet theory, right? Which is like everything on the internet is like AI slop right now, and all of it is meaningless, right?
Yes, and you know what? It also for a lot of people who are not aware, because
Yeah.
remember, you, me, we work with people who are growing, are aware, they're
Yep.
trying to make the world a better place.
Yep.
From studies, it shows that's only 10% of the developed country's population.
Oh, yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it's in more developed countries.
It's right. Right. Right.
So it's a very small portion of people who are aware of this.
Totally.
And our brain works, and what's loud, it becomes true. We start to convince ourselves to believe in things that are not congruent with who we are.
Hmm.
There's plenty of things happening, but for me, I guess the struggle of, kind of sometimes doubting if what I'm doing makes sense. Although I
Yeah.
truly believe in what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
I know I bring results. But at the same time, when it's not going as fast as I want to, my gray matter definitely needs some more work and,
Yes.
through and building that grit. I haven't
Yeah.
given up yet, not planning anytime soon, but
Yeah.
those days definitely do come, and
Yeah.
it's okay. I allow
Yeah.
them to come.
Thank you for sharing that. I think I'm similar to you in a way that like patience is the hardest thing for me. It's something I have to learn over and over, and it shows up in so many aspects of my life. Like I one of my hobbies is I do pottery. I throw pottery, and that's I was just in a class last week about throwing bigger, like much bigger weights, and my teacher was like, you just gotta slow down. You gotta turn down the wheel speed, you gotta slow your pulls, like if you want this thing to work. And it's the state, I mean, it's a real metaphor for so many things, because you're right. Like we want it to go so fast when we're building something. And things go at the time that they go, right? Like things
Yep,
go at the speed that they go, and we
yep,
cannot control that.
nope.
Okay, this has been such an amazing conversation. It's been so much fun. I've learned so much from you. I'm sure our listeners have too. And so, where can they find you if they want to learn more about you and your book and your work and your TED Talk and all of that?
Well, first of all, thank you. I had an amazing time as well. It was a lot of fun chatting, and I've also loved listening to your perspective and your takes on things. You can find me at Your Brain Coach D on Instagram, Your Brain Coach D com. That's my website. Your Brain Coach D on LinkedIn and Facebook and everywhere you go, including YouTube. The TEDx, I don't know when we're going to air this, but the TEDx should be up in about 2 weeks. So probably mid-November. Hopefully
Okay.
that will be the case. And it's called Why Women Brains Are Built for Leadership. And I'm super excited because I want to include that in a conversation to lift up women. It's not true that we're the supporting party. Our brains are absolutely exceptional. It doesn't mean they're better, but they are
Hmm.
exceptional in so many ways. So that's how you can find me. And of course, there is a book that was #1 Kindle release, The Magic of Dreaming Big, Acting Small, and Achieving Success. And you can find it on Amazon, and it's coming out in Spanish as well. I have the
Amazing.
author's copy, so I'm super excited for the Spanish market. And it's based on neuroscience, overcoming overwhelm, stress, anxiety in neuroscience based tools, covered with stories and funny moments, easy read with a lot of practical tools.
I love it. That's what I always like, is like a practical guide to something. So that's fantastic. I am sure your TED Talk will be out by the time we release this, because like the release schedule is a few months off. So I am sure you can go out there, you can watch Dominika's TED Talk right now if you're listening to this right now. And thank you again for being on. It was a really fantastic conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Awesome. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Do More, Stress Less podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I've got a little something else you might want to know about. I want you to check out my free class, 3 Secrets for Always Having Enough Time for Your Work, Your Family, and most importantly, yourself. It's short, it's practical, it's packed with strategies that you can use right away, and it's free. You can grab your spot at the link in the show notes or at alexishasselberger.com. See you next time.